I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everybody. Go ahead.
Okay, Page,
Here.
Walsh,
Here.
Peters,
Here.
Childers,
Here.
Wolfersberger,
Here.
Yes.
Cummings, Brad.
Here. We have no proclamations or appointments tonight, so we go into public comment. You wanna-
Yes, so the first one was Mary. Forgive me, is it
Sleep.
Sleep? You want to speak?
Well,
Or is there a group of you that want to address something?
yes, but I just had a comment.
Okay,
This, yep,
Can't you do it from there so you don't have to get it?
yes.
Can
Thank
I
you.
just sit here? My name is Mary Sleep. I've lived in Woodland Drive for 59 years. I just want to say the road has never been in this condition, and there are a lot of people that are having other problems. Other than the dust, it's not particularly bothering me, but the road has never in 58 years, 59 years, been in this state. Something needs to be done.
Barbara does it.
I will put her for just say something.
And you are,
I'm Kate Morgan,
okay.
and I live at 702 West Woodland, and I prepared a report for each of you on our formal complaint and possible solutions, because I was an administrator for years at Carl, and I also leave in complaining without a solution, so I appreciate your time.
Great.
I don't know if you need one. Thank you. Just a little history on our neighborhood. We're a neighborhood of 18 homes. We are annexed as part of the city and have been for years. Mid-November 2025, our road was stripped of the current asphalt. No one in the neighborhood was notified that this was being done. The average temperature at this time was 30 degrees or below. What was applied was small white rock was brought in and the road was elevated in places. Supposedly oil was applied. We never saw it, but they say it has been done. The rocks never settled. We had a major snowstorm in November. All the rock was then pushed to the sides of the road due to snow plowing, which we appreciate the snow plows. But we had 2 other storms that also required, and we're at one entry subdivision, so there's one way in and one way out. And as of March 2026, at least a third of the rock is now in our yards and ditches. The middle of the road has minimal rock left on. 2 calls have been made, one in February, one in March, to Joe, the city manager, regarding the conditions of the road. No real solution was provided at this time. This was also brought up in a February meeting by Deb Sabindon. Also an outreach to Mayor Jim Page was sent in February by myself. Our top concerns at this point, we have 4 homes with elderly women over the age of 84 who cannot clean their yards, because I was told it's our responsibility to clean our own yards up. And I don't agree with that. There are no sidewalks in our subdivision, and we're fine with that. It's been like that for years. And therefore, we have to walk on the road, and it is uneven. And I feel like this is a huge safety situation for our elderly in our subdivision, because the road is very uneven, and the rock is very loose. The road is already showing wear and tear with a hole in the road, which is in front of my house at 702, and it's about this big, and we put a 3-foot stick down there and we still didn't hit bottom. And that's in the center of the road where it appears to go off to each side. So I don't know if that's the man cover or what that is, but it does, there's no end to the hole. And if we get an excessive rain, which we need, We are concerned the road will have further damage. A few of our culverts are full of rocks, and this will lead to poor drainage. We have heavy trucks in our neighborhood daily, including 4 garbage companies and a school bus in the neighborhood 5 days a week during the school year, and many delivery trucks. It was difficult, it will be difficult for our city employees to do brush pickups and fall cleanup due to the amount of rocks on the side of the road and in our yards. We are concerned about our lawnmowers throwing rocks and doing damage to them and the cars and the kids and the walkers in the street. We have excess dust in the neighborhood now because it's all just rock dust, coating the windows in our homes and our cars. The value of our homes with a rock road when all the other cul-de-sacs and such in the city of St. Joe are paved. We are the only cul-de-sac with a rock road. With spring softball and spring activities at the high school, we are the overflow parking in our neighborhood. This will result in bringing more rock to the side of the road. What are solutions, what we proposed? We would like to do the city to remove the excessive rock in the ditches and yards by the end of March, so residents can do their spring cleanup. Some of the rock goes 5 to 10 feet into people's yards. And the road to be resurfaced with asphalt or do the oil and chip done correctly when the temperatures are right, so the road can cure and there are no loose rocks flying. And we'd also like to have improved communication with neighborhood residents regarding our concerns and work that needs to be done. And we would just ask if you would all take this into consideration and be kind enough to give us an answer on what you feel a good resolution would be.
This was an oil road to begin with.
But it was asphalt. It was, and then they did this kind of, they wanted to do oil and chip. And maybe in the past, I don't know, Mark, have they done oil and chip? I don't know.
I've lived there for 20 years. We've never had, as long as I've lived there, there's never been oil and chip.
Do you know what was done before?
It was done way later than what it should.
That's.
Yeah, and that was, the reason why it was delayed to the end of the year is because it was put into the same package that was approved for West Evergreen at that time for the funding. Normally it would be done whenever it's hot enough to where the heat would kind of will die a little bit. I think so. I think it was Evergreen used to be called something else, but it's here. Yes, so I think it was them that had that one. They had ours behind our house.
It was like they're saying that it's just enough, because they're not seeing any oil, and they didn't see any oil.
They said they applied it. I worked, so I was not
That-
involved.
That's honestly what Sportsman's Club looks like too, and I think it's the same people who did it.
But they did,
Did you see oil on it? I mean,
and that all stuck pretty well, like theirs isn't stuck at all.
behind my house, it's not stuck. Oh no, it's my ditches.
I mean, our feeling is, I lived in the country growing up. If I wanted to live in the country, I'd be fine with a rock road, but I live in town and I pay city taxes. So,
We do have some oil and chip roads in town, not just your neighborhood.
yeah, but they're not
it
like
shouldn't be
this,
this.
right?
So what I could do, maybe this would actually clear up some stuff for the board here. Is I'll have our engineer provide a written assessment of what was done last year and what might be the issues there and what we can do about it that we all can consider.
Put a price to
The
that.
next meeting, yeah, I'll do that.
Hey,
Such
Joe,
a
could,
meeting is- sorry.
Joe, could you ask them a question when if they did oil and chip that, did they roll it afterwards? Even with the rubber tire rolls, to make sure it appears to go up? If all they did is just. Yeah. Yeah, if the oil would have solidified, it would have stuck.
A lot of times they'll put the chips down, they'll roll it with the tandem trucks that they have there, but Woodland is not a long run. So it wouldn't give them a lot of opportunities to get into some of those spots too. So if they did just truck roll it, it probably is just in the main pathways and not like in your turn areas and in the corners. So it might be worse there.
Well, just a question, if oil would form enough to make the rock adhere, then if you had even a rubber tire though, or it didn't have to be a regular steel roller, but it might have not gone ahead and impregnated it where it put it here. Just ask that question if that was done.
Should be a long time ago, they can just use the guts.
Yeah,
That's a long-term solution, but you have some immediate needs of public works to get up there
That's great.
and do as much cleanup as we can. We need to find out about this hole.
Yeah, it's right when you
that's a
come in
problem.
and it's about like this size. And Darcy and I stuck a stick down there, it was about 3 foot and we didn't hit bottom. Could be a man cover, I don't
Is
know.
there a culvert anywhere near there? Do you know, like if there's a drainage culvert in the ditch?
There's one over by Mary's. And then one that's supposed to be between our houses, and there's one over by ours. There's a lot of culverts and there's a lot of rock in those culverts right now.
So we are a little concerned about flooding.
Sure.
I have a major, I'm Barbara Campbell, 711 West Woodland. I have a major issue with the rock in the culverts. There is a culvert by my house that is over halfway cut, buried with rock. And then to the south of me at 709 West Woodland, where it's supposed to be emptying out and draining into the other ditches, that is almost completely covered.
And that's in front of your place at 7-Eleven?
7-Eleven,
Staff's
is,
already,
They're already aware of that.
yes.
Okay.
yes, I talked with Joe a while back. I'm sorry, oh no, you're fine.
That's what we want to hear.
Well, let me ask another question. Parking during, because of the school parking, people are parking on Woodland because of.
They do.
During football.
Sure
games.
do.
Okay.
Football and then
Right,
softball
right.
will get people
Track
and
will
track.
become really big.
Because the lot's full.
And then graduation will get the overflow in football season, so what I'm concerned about, you leave that rock on the side of the road, it's just gonna go right back in the ditch when people are parking in the ditches. So I hate to see you guys waste your time getting all that rock picked up and putting it right back on the road without anything else going on, because it's just gonna go back to the way
I
it
think it
was.
should just be removed.
Yes.
Yes, at the end of the cul-de-sac where I live on, the rock has been pushed back, I don't know how many feet in the yards. And in my yard, it is up in my yard in a couple different ways.
And we want the school bus, I mean, we were thrilled that the school bus is bringing the kids into the cul-de-sac and off of Grand. So we don't want that to stop, we just want a road that will support this heavy machinery that's coming in. And I don't know, people just thought, well, that's just a little blow off neighborhood. Well, it's 18 homes. And I think we
There are
should,
no blow off neighborhoods.
okay,
And so that's what this process is about, for us to
Okay.
find out what needs to be done. So we've got kind of the long-term and short-term issues we need to deal with, and I really appreciate you bringing it to our
Yeah.
attention.
and I don't want these ladies out in their yard digging up little white rocks like
No.
that, or have to pay for it. So we're all on a limited budget,
Right.
so, and they're gonna have, I mean, it's gonna take some time to get all this, cause it's 5 and 10 feet into some yards. And I don't feel like that's the homeowner's responsibility, so.
Okay.
I did take some pictures today if anybody was interested in seeing them, but I didn't get it.
Well, I can tell you after the storms, I'm gonna be up there.
Well,
Because I wanna see.
my house sits rather low, and I'm afraid if these culverts aren't drained out, that I'm going to have water back up into my garage. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
very
time.
much. Does anybody else want to speak on this issue? I really appreciate you folks coming in and talking to us about it, and I'll talk to Joe, and Andrea working for IDA has expertise that would help.
Do we need a point person then to be in contact with you, so we kind of know what the resolution and how it's gonna unfold?
Joe,
The first step will be the engineer will evaluate this. And what the engineer recommends might not be exactly what you all want to hear, That doesn't mean that there isn't some rock cleanup that we can't do. To be totally transparent, it's a very expensive process to go in and fully redo the entire cul-de-sac, so there might be a different solution that. I don't know, that's why I want the engineer to weigh in on it, so I just want to properly.
Well, they did the road in like 3 or 4 days, so that wasn't a long process.
It's expensive.
But it's $40,000 or $50,000.
Right,
You're
right.
But we'll look into it and our engineer will give us.
In the meantime,
Right now, that $30,000 to $40,000 is in our yards. It's not being put to good use, it's not being put to the intended use. So if engineering is the first way to go, when should we expect to hear back about that? Is that the next village meeting? Is that when should we expect to hear some resolution on that?
Because we're gonna be mowing grass probably in a month.
it depends on how busy they are, if you get to it. I
I don't
can't guarantee.
the timeline, but.
I'd have to call them, or Joe's gonna call, find out, but I'm the contact for this because he's got other stuff I've got him assigned to, so.
I just need these ditches cleaned out on my house before we get a real heavy rain. I have water in my backing up and out to it.
I wish one of you could come out and just sit and
Or walk the neighborhood
watch
with us.
as people come in and out and what the dust we are dealing with. I track it into the garage.
Right.
And that's not right. I mean, that's not the way it's always been. Right. So somebody should just come out and look and assess the situation.
We will. Yeah. Move on to the next one. We got a lot to get to tonight.
Is there was other folks that have signed on this list, is there, anybody else that like to participate in public comment? So it's your.
Okay. That doesn't mean that we can't talk about stuff later as we go through this, but for the time being, we're gonna move on to the agenda. First thing up, as usual, is the consent agenda. It includes the regular Board of Trustees meeting minutes, executive session meeting minutes, treasurer's report, investment recommendations, approval of the bills in the amount of $1,511,396. 2 special event permits for the Easter egg hunt and is that pickleball? Yes, pickleball league spring event. Are there any of those issues being discussed? Is everybody comfortable?
I do have one thing, we will all be voting against it, but just for one item. And I'm standing firm on the transfer funds to St. Joe Recreation. So that's the other part's fine, but I'm still against that.
Okay, anybody else?
I make a motion, we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Any further discussion? Go ahead.
Walsh,
Yes.
Peters,
Yes.
Childers,
Yes.
Wolfersberger,
Yes.
Cummings,
Yes.
Brett.
No.
Motion passed. 5-1.
All right, new business, consideration and possible approval of an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a tax increment financing district redevelopment agreement between the Village of St. Joseph and GAM Properties LLC. You want to start this off?
Our consultant Jacob and Klein were out of Illinois. Assisted us with putting together an agreement with GAM Properties.
Yes, it's in here.
There is a piece of land inside the village that this developer is reaching an agreement with the property owner and is requesting funds like a typical TIF project. One exception is they are requesting support of up to $320,000 for public infrastructure, which is unique to the parcel. That is the extension of sewer line along Lincoln Street to the development area, and then also the extension of Douglas Street to the first house on the north side of the proposed Douglas Street. Those are kind of unique characteristics of the land that makes barrier to development. Essentially, the developer under this funding formula would complete reimbursement by 2042, and then the village would recoup its entire $320,000 investment by 20 in between 2030 and 2031. I recommend approval of this. You are a few years away from your census, so you have baked in factors which are hurting your population over time, and there's no clear path to that reversing itself, and so you need new structures. And if you look at the build out rate that has been proposed, at the fastest, the developer could build maybe 20 structures. And that's very aggressive, extremely aggressive. So we need to get going, basically. We're trying to 20 structures by a year. So in 2026, they're proposing 4, 2027, they're proposing 20, and so on and so forth. Most people would tell you that's extremely aggressive. So there's no guarantee that's going to happen. But if you have any questions, please let me know. There was a small revision to the agreement that was put into your packets. And just whenever the packet was sent out in the portal on Friday, there was just a slight clarification on the funding understanding. So that made a difference of about a year. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. I'll go into them in more detail.
Well, I'll jump in. This location is a location that everybody for a long time, many people for a long time, believed was where St. Joe should be expanding. Ralph Woodard, who originally owned this property a couple of years ago, had a plan to redevelop this as part of Crestview to continue Reagan and Bush and Cedar north of there. This, if it passes and if we can make this happen, takes the pressure off us having to develop other parts of town that we've talked about here recently. That nobody really wants to do, but we were kind of desperate. This came along, and I think it's good for us. The original ask on this property when was that last tip? When you read this originally came out 2017. It was like 1.6 million for the village in TIF money, and we've got the engineers heads together, and now it's 320, and we get paid back. So that's huge
In a pretty short time frame.
in a 5-year time frame, which is pretty
Reasonable.
very reasonable
Yeah.
when you talk about the life of the TIF of 23 years. So this could just be the beginning of long-term growth in that area. We'll have to see. But in the meantime, this is pretty good, you know.
That's why we passed the tip. This is the start. It's in the tip. That's why we passed the tip to get this to happen.
A few points of clarification. This developer, if this is approved, still has to go through the subdivision process and all of that is involved. So this is not.
Still months down the road.
So on your calculations down here in the bottom corner, we're estimating 4 houses still in 2020. You're thinking that with all the extra development stuff that needs done first, that may not.
I don't think that's
So
possible.
that will more than likely think that.
Yes.
Down the road. As far as the first.
That's very optimistic. Yeah.
To get to the point of actually having bulldozers out there building streets and carpenters building houses. What's that? Getting through the subdivision process, planning and zoning, back to us for final approval,
3 to 5 months.
3 to 5 months.
And it's always good to budget in an extra month of,
So 6 months from now, so it would be September.
if everything.
To the ending of the building season, so.
Yeah.
My guess is this time next year.
So
they'll be
it would be
pushing
more
back.
like 20, 33.
Either way,
Gotta start somewhere.
Right.
Yes, absolutely.
It's a start. I think that, I mean, you still got what we're looking at, the sports complex in your vest pocket if necessary, but I think this is a better alternative. So do you want me to make a motion, we approve as presented? I'll make a motion, we approve as presented.
any further discussion?
Peters,
Yes.
Shoulders,
Yes.
Wolfersberger,
Yes.
Cummings,
Yes.
Rath,
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
Motion passed 6-0.
Okay, next item is consideration and possible approval of an ordinance approving pre-annexation agreement with Woodard Family Trust for 208, approximately 208 acres north of CR County Road 1700 west of 2200 E. There's a subdivision going on there, correct? Subdivision, and because it's within our extra jurisdictional planning authority, Monmouth Planning Authority, we have a policy of requesting pre-annexation agreements for those properties, so that if we ever get there a decade from now or whatever, the village expands, we have some control over what that's going to be, and that they would have to annex into the village if they decided to develop that property. So that's what this is. I think, Mark, you've been involved in this.
Yeah,
This is all-
I mean, I'll keep it super short, and then if you want longer answers, you'll pluck them out of me. But this is 208 acres that they're gonna break into 3 large tracts, the smallest of which is 32 acres. In order to do that, they have to abide by our subdivision ordinance, where we probably don't care, since these are farming tracts and they're not being broken up into little tiny residential lots. So they're kind of asking for 2 things. One is kind of a waiver of our requiring them to comply with our ordinances as it relates to the subdivision of the property, and then our agreement to provide a letter that we'll give to the county that tells them that. In exchange for that, they're signing an agreement that says once that land touches the village, becomes contiguous with us, that they'll annex to the village. If that doesn't happen in 20 years, then this agreement just expires. So it could be very unlikely that this happens, but if it did happen, you'll have been glad you did it, and it's not that difficult to do what we just did. So my recommendation is approve it, and that'll accommodate a closing they're trying to do in a couple of days, and when we may set the stage nicely for the village down the road, and if we didn't really waste a lot of time doing it.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the annexation agreement.
Second.
Thanks. Any further discussion?
Shoulders,
Yes.
Wolfersberger,
Yes.
Cummings,
Yes.
Rath,
Yes.
Walsh,
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Motion passed 6-0.
All right. Next thing is FY 26-27 budget discussion. As you know, the budget starts May 1st, correct? And so Joe is deep in, Joe is deep in the development of the budget. As is most municipal government budgets, a large portion of it isn't discretionary, it's stuff we have to do. But there are some discretionary things, and Joe,
So
what do you?
the list that you have here, you have a couple of things that we printed for you. You have a draft, and I put it in red letters there, of course, so it's emphasis on draft of the budget here. For this year, and then you've got, just as a reminder of what we summarized in last year, as a narrative form. This was the narrative form of the budget. No, I'm sorry, it's not it. This is the narrative version of the budget that was done last year, and that's just a reminder of what we did and what we're working towards. But as part of that, like the mayor said, most of the budget, especially in a small municipality, is pretty well set for you. But these items that are listed, or these topics that are coming over the last year, and I want you to consider them. The only one that I really need some direction on tonight is on wage adjustments for next year. I've included a table in there that is and what I provide just every year as the conversation comes up of a running average history of what we have issued as increases versus CPI. And there's two different lists there. There's one since 2012, which is when I could find some reliable data for us. And then there was a more recent since the COVID and inflationary period CPI. So breaking it down to a short term, analyzing it over the short term and analyzing it over more of a long term. Short term, we are behind. And so if you look at the chart at the bottom, it kind of shows where we're at in comparison to CPI. And so my recommendation, just so I can get working on the rest of the budget and kind of get those issued out to staff, is to set a maximum at 5% this year. I just need direction on that by the time we're done with this topic. There's also an additional 7 items that are in your list, and we don't necessarily have to decide this tonight per se, but this is more of an introduction of what each of these items are. But I would like to have this answer by preferably no later than the first meeting in April if possible. For the first one is the demo of the structure at 407 South Main. The second is the contribution for capital costs to the recycling facility. If you remember, Susan Monty came in 6 months ago, roughly now. Comprehensive plan update. We haven't done it since 2013. So my understanding is best practices do it about every 10 years. So we're past that. And then the fireworks are a little bit more. I just put that in there. So I have 2 bids for that. And I'm assuming that you all will want to do it again, but I just need direction on that, of course. The animal control contract, there's not a lot more on that, but we use a little bit extra information on that topic. And then digitization or preservation of historical records. I don't have a quote on it, and the idea is to set a budget, and it's a to not exceed budget for the year. And I come with props today. But these are what we're really talking about if we want to pass those around. These are old minutes from, this is June 1901, it looks like. And so the concern is obviously, as you look at them, we don't want to lose that. And want to try to preserve that if we can.
And we have a lot of that.
We have a lot, yes.
We have boxes full of that in storerooms.
It's really important history, so it'd be nice to find a way to preserve that. I don't know what the cost for that is. And then the last item is a Parks and Recreation coordinator manager. We have to finalize a job description if we want to get down this route, but somebody that could there's a short little blurb there of what the role would be requested to do. So like I said, the only one that I really need to get some type of direction on tonight, or I would really like to get some direction on tonight, is the wage adjustment portion. The remaining ones are kind of discussion items for you to discuss and go through and decide at your leisure, hopefully before the first meeting in April.
What's everybody think about the wage? Trying to get caught up from our COVID.
I agree with it.
Getting behind.
How are we getting behind? Because I thought we've been getting it like a normal rate, but everybody else has got.
What we're looking at is what we've been issuing versus what the actual CPI has been. And the actual CPI has increased at a rate that has been beyond what we have been increasing at.
On each year of those years or overall combination?
The chart with if you have the chart in front of you.
I got so many charts and.
Okay.
The ones in red.
So the one that says max increase is what we issued. And then if you look at CPI, that's what the CPI rate was issued. That data is coming from IML. IML publishes that on an annual basis. And so I've been using their data on an annual basis to update this chart. But this is the kind of how I was trained to right size. So we keep it proportional and we basing it on some sort of actual data that's out there. So,
And we're gonna be hiring. I'm hoping soon, full-time folks in public works. And having remotely competitive wages. Will help, I think it's important. So. I don't have any issues with it, if it's within the budget, it's not gonna.
You need a motion.
I just needed everybody to kind of head nod and give me consensus, and then that's what's going to be in there. The final, everything will be approved.
The last meeting in April.
Yeah. So I agree.
Let's look into 2, 3, 1.
It's gonna help with the retention of employees.
So,
Yes.
I need to study, but everything that you've explained, it seemed logical to go ahead and do it.
I'm happy to talk through it more with you. And then on the other items, this is probably, this is kind of serves as an introduction in a sense. So if you have questions or anything like that, I'm happy to, go into it more with you, or if you need clarification of anything, please let me know.
Yeah, we can talk about this. Anytime. The two that come up for me that's recent is the recycling because of the issues we had down at the Slover Break, and then animal control. We recently had a bite and a problem, and it's not the first time. And it would be nice to be able to say, call animal control so they can follow up on these. It ended up being a real problem for a while.
They started on the recycling center.
They're doing capital.
They're doing the
raising.
capital raising.
And Rantoul was the last one no, they're waiting on Rantoul, but it was, there was a community that just agreed to do it, that she brought up this when she reached back out about it. I had to ask and see which one that was.
But we could talk more about the rest of those between now and then those are the discretionary issues that we have. We prioritize those or won't cut any of them out, put them off.
Are you all wanting to do fireworks this year?
Yeah,
I don't mean to put it that way, like as I.
and
I don't know why we put.
the fall festival.
I think it's necessary.
I'm just asking because that's, we've always just kind of put it in there, but
As far as the on list of importance, like, do you want us to like, regards like 1 through 8 for you?
well, if it would help you all guide through a conversation, really, I just wanted to, what would be helpful for me is to go through each one and get consensus on each one to include at some point. That's what I'm kind of
And
looking
I
at.
sort of look at like the wage thing as being like our most important, and then everything else in here will follow with where our money is, so we're not overextending ourselves, but yeah, I mean, I can see the fireworks as being in the top of that.
I don't see the number 3, the recycling as being a strong yes for me. I think it's important, but I think right now where it's at and where we're at, I don't know that we meet.
I agree with that. It's not Phillips Dodgers.
Well, I think that's,
I know they got the rates capital.
They're not asking for money to run.
They're just
I
wanting,
just want to pledge.
Money to build it.
Yeah.
This is non-operational capital,
It's a one-time, or is it a yearly?
one time. Well, what he has in here is 3 years.
you can spread it over.
You can spread it over 3 years. I don't anticipate them having this built in 3 years, but
Their suggestion was somewhere between 12,000 and 20,000 over the 3 years. That doesn't mean you have to do, that's their suggestion for what a rate could be for a town our size. So you could say any amount and pledge it. You don't have to do what they suggest on that. And if they don't want, And if they don't want the pledge, then they don't have to take it, I guess, but you can always cut that down if you wanted to.
So you're gonna run the numbers with the salary wage and this stuff. Are you gonna do it with and without the Parks and Rec position in here? Just the one.
So any employee that is not currently hired, the adjustments don't impact that. They will be within whatever range. The Parks and Rec coordinator position, we would have to amend what we call the salary schedule that we've established. We added that with our personnel policies, and each position grade has a range of employees. We just have to add that, and this would be sort of like a middle management type of role. It wouldn't be director level like the public works director position. And so I come up with a range. I've got some data that I can come up with, but the 65 is what I was seeing as kind of a what that type of position costs.
If all these get approved, do we have the money for all of them?
So don't.
Yeah, once that's adjusted.
So, okay, the answer to that is, if you guys continue to proceed with the sale of the sewer utility, the answer is yes. If you don't, the answer is you're gonna have to cut it back even further. So the reason why that is that the sewer improvements that the village has made has always been planned to be supplemented out of the general fund and the stormwater fund for the portions that are appropriate for those projects. And if that is still going to be an obligation for those funds, then there's not a lot of extra within the general fund to support these things. For sure, comp plan probably should go. I don't mean to be negative, but out of all the expenses that the village has, the fireworks are my least favorite probably. But regardless, it's not my money. It's so we do. But my thing is, we can do the fireworks. It's not a problem, but we can't do all of these probably, is what I'm saying. We probably have to postpone some stuff and just do that at a slower clip.
Yeah, or the alternative is to significantly raise sewer rates, which nobody wants to do. So that we're not pulling money out of the general fund.
One of the discussions, like I know the demolition of the building on South Union, I mean, that's a cost for the demolition of it, but then there's also the gain of what would we do there instead, or what would it be valued as a blank slate.
I don't have an appraisal for what the land itself would be valued at.
Right.
I have the appraisal for what the structure there. We do have relatively recent single lots that have been sold, 3 last year actually sold and built on. So we'd actually have some pretty decent data or recent data on lot prices. Yeah. I guess, and also to add your question about if we have the money. So the point is, we've been running roughly about $200,000 to $300,000 surpluses within the general fund. A decent chunk of that has been going to supplement the Parks and Recreation Fund historically. So now that we have a funding source for that, that money is essentially freed up, except if we are then continuing to send money to the sewer fund for the debt servicing for that. So that's why I'm saying it all kind of hinges on that. So
Well, we don't have to decide tonight. It's an introduction. Let's individually think about this, and most of the rest of our budget is set. It's just the way it is, debt payments and.
I'd like to comment. I mean, I hate to see that going down, but by the same token, we're paying a guy to market it, put a for sale sign in and make it visible. A lot of people are unaware. We've got various properties like that, put a for sale sign in front of them, and who knows what might turn up. I'd rather do that than pay to have it raised or whatever it may be, utilized another way. You got appraisal that you can share with any potential buyers and go from there. I'd rather see that before we even contemplate an expenditure to raise it.
well, I'm happy to do that. The for sale sign. I'm happy to do that. I want to just remind us that we did do the RFP last year and advertised it really widely. But it's been shown, 12 times and So it has, it's out there, you know what I mean? So it's not as though it hasn't been.
Do we have enough money to get one of those floating hands? We'll have you out there.
See, yeah,
No, just put a sign in front, you know, I mean, it's a cheap fix right now. Go ahead and see what turns up, because a lot of people, yes, we've done RFPs, but a lot of people, they're not exploring the paper for that. They're not looking on the website for that. It's just, make something visible. Either that, or we'll go ahead and get you out there and we'll have one of those blow up things.
no, wave at it.
Yeah,
There has been a kind of a little bit of, curiosity to see what it looks like type of showing of the, if you can believe that or not. So there's been a decent amount of those that have been, I just want to kind of see what it looks like on the inside and everything. So there's, I'm happy to do it, like I said, but I don't know, you gotta think about. I would like for us, if we go down that route, to do it for a period of time. So it's not something that we just have shown indefinitely.
yeah. If nothing else, let's with a realtor.
I was gonna say, do we have this listed with the realtor or with this in-house?
Well, if we do that, then we have to pay them.
What are we asking for?
The appraisal will pull up.
I don't know, Mark, can we just hire a realtor and sell government property? Does that have to go through an RFP process?
No,
For sure.
I mean, if your end goal is just to sell it to get the best price, there are kind of two approaches. One is, you can list it with the realtor, and you can define what those terms are. You could kind of put it up for auction. You can also declare it to be surplus property, have it appraised, and then you could sell it for as little as 80% of the appraised value. Those are kind of the shotgun approach. The RFP thing is where you're saying, yeah, well, we took over this really crappy nuisance property. We tore down the house and we really want to see a brand new house built there. So offer me whatever you're willing to pay for it, as long as you guarantee that you'll build something that's 1,800 square feet within 18 months after the sale. And if somebody offers $1 and they sign the contract to do that, you're thinking to yourselves, you got a good deal, right? So that's when you kind of use the RFP, when you have something really unique like that.
I'm not opposed to any of these things, but I wanted the end date on it because we're paying, maintaining it, insuring it. It's costing us every day something.
It appraised at 140,000. We have the appraisal done. And it's 21,000. The building for that, I think it's all for. I think building.
Build a dam.
Build a dam, yeah.
What's the acreage on that?
So what we put in the RFP is that we would cut off the farm ground immediately to the west of the grassy area that the church surrounded, with the idea that sometime that might be good for stormwater retention. So
Just gonna ask that question.
yeah, so it would be, if you look at the RFP in your, see this?
Yeah.
It's with gravity. Okay, so, if you look at your RFP, there's an image here, if you want to, or with the one that says it's discretionary, with items. There's an image that shows the lot, how we would cut it out. And in pink is what we would split it out, and then we have to have some type of access to Main Street, so that somebody can.
It's about 3 acres or 2.5. I think it's that.
I'm not positive, I have to look that out and say something without you, let me see if there's.
Sorry. Throwing a sign up there. Pretty easy. Put it up there and determine ahead of time, it's gonna be up 3 months or whatever. I don't get a bite, then.
It's time here to do it, spring comes.
But it needs to, because if it doesn't sell, it needs to be in the budget now. So it's not sitting for a whole other year. That's the issue. Well, you don't have the authority. You may have the money, but you don't have the authority to modify the budget. But So, I think you got what you needed.
Yeah,
Right, those
yes.
pages, that's the important part.
Just like you see on the tires, oh.
Right. We don't need any motions on that for the moment.
Well, this doesn't have one more question.
Sure, go ahead.
About the building. And the fire department being able to use it.
Yeah.
Do they know that they can use it now, or are they still on hold?
It's still being a holding pattern.
Like, they have to let them know that. Things are progressing on that side.
Okay,
To do training in.
okay, I'll talk to Josh about that. Thanks for mentioning that.
That would be only if it was scheduled for demolition, correct? Correct, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we can do a lot of good training to make sure, once it's gonna be torn down. Keeping it as well and as intact as we can. We would say like, in those sets of things. Until the very end. Once it's ready to come down, but.
Used to do that, used to do that at the metro too, all the time.
Yeah.
After demolition from that version. Okay.
It's total 3.84 acres, but that's everything.
Yeah, so it would be 3 or 2.5.
That part, yeah, this is what we cut off. I don't know, but the whole thing is 3.84, so whatever we would.
Say.
We wanted for the whole thing, roughly.
Oh, so it's nowhere close.
Yeah. it
That would
was-
be like
Just under an acre.
6/10 of an acre, maybe, non-floodplain.
It's 4 of those normal residential lots there that are right next to it roughly. Is what would be remaining. If you look at their diet.
I mean, ideally,
Size, but
Just put a 0 lot line home or something like that in there. But who knows? It's zoned
R1.
R1.
So maybe an acre, if it's really a
With the
4,
parking lot,
yes, yeah. At least a chunk of it, there would be.
minus the
that.
easement.
Yes, yeah, minus.
Okay. Staff report, is there anything in there that you wanna point out?
I don't have any doubts, my.
Okay, Mark, do you have anything?
Nothing.
It's we're in good shape then. Matt, anything? Steve?
No.
Adrian? David? Art? I guess that's it.
Motion to adjourn?
You making it? Who's
Second.
Second? Okay.
And you second it? Done. Thank you.
I'm definitely, so I was really